Hello and welcome to the COVID question with Martin Kelly and the Lady Unreal.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the COVID question with myself, Martin, and I'm joined by the Lady Unreal. Hello, my lady, how are you?
Great, thank you.
I'm not too bad at all, thank you very much for asking. Interesting week this week. We've got Steve Maddern back with us. And we're going to be having a chat about younger people and the vaccination. I've got to ask the question. I know what the answer is going to be, but has any of the discussions that we've had over the past editions of the podcast changed your mind in any way, shape, or form, my lady?
Absolutely not.
No. Has it made you think though, or is it just no? I'm just sticking with myself.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do what my brain is telling me because I feel like there's something not quite right with this. So
Okay. Well, let's listen to. We both had a chat with Steve the other day, and this is how it went.
Steve, welcome back to the COVID question. Always nice to speak to you. Now, last time we spoke, we were talking about the number of people that needed to be vaccinated in Swindon, and particularly in the age range of under 40s, the people who like to socialise more. Has that changed since we last spoke?
So we have seen a continued increase in those people that have had their vaccine across Swindon. So at the moment, we know that around 84%, that's over 175,000 people in Swindon, have at least had their first dose, followed by another 77%, which have gone on to have their second dose. So the uptake is definitely improving. What that means for us locally is that there's probably around about 30,000 people in Swindon that haven't yet taken their opportunity to have the vaccine yet.
Okay, and I was speaking to the gentleman who runs the clinic at Sanford House in Swindon Town Centre last week, and he said that a lot of the people that have gone through the door to have their vaccine have been people who are younger people who have taken the vaccine to ready to go to school or college or to start work. Do you have any figures that bear that out?
So for the 16 to 17-year-olds, we know that at least 50% of those young people have had their first dose. Now, we've only started giving the doses recently, so the second dose uptake isn't as high yet, but it will be by the time they're due to have it. So it's a really positive step to see 16 and 17-year-olds taking this as they head back to school and college this autumn.
Yeah, I agree, and based on what Hassan said, it looks like they're getting their first dose in Swindon and then going on to wherever they're studying and are planning to get the second dose over there. So it looks like that there's these young people are putting some planning into their vaccination program as well.
Yeah, we know that with the vaccine, you need to have both doses to maximise your chance of protecting yourself. But a single dose on its own will offer some protection. So I think if students are deciding to have their first dose whilst at home before going to college or uni, I think that's a really good choice to make.
Now I can see my lady pursing her lips here by the side of me. What have you got to say, my lady?
Just think it's got something to do with the cinema tickets and the free things that the government were handing out to get those younger people to actually go and get it.
Did you hear that, Steve?
We did, yes, I did, and I'm sure in some areas where they were incentivising young people with free things to have the vaccine, that may be the case. In Swindon, we weren't offering any incentive, so we weren't offering anything other than the protection from COVID. So I don't think that's really had an impact on uptake locally.
I'm not sure if you can see my Lady Unreal's face there, Steve, but
I'm sure Lady O'Reilly is not impressed with my answer.
To be fair, she's not been impressed with any of my answers for the past few weeks either, so it's nothing unusual. So now there's talk now, or there's plans in place to vaccinate under 16-year-olds. Steve, whereabouts are we with that in Swindon at the moment?
Yeah, so as of last week, our Chief Medical Officer, Chris Whitty, allowed for the vaccination of those aged 12 to 15. So that will start taking place across Swindon, Wiltshire and Bath and North East Somerset across the next couple of weeks. So the plans, we already thought it was coming. So the NHS had already had plans in place to deliver this through schools, and now it's about delivering that plan.
Okay, and well, a key feature of a lot of people who are against wearing face masks or against getting the vaccine is we've got to learn to live with it, and we do have to learn to live with it to an extent. So where do you think the future lies with learning to live with this virus, Steve? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to this 100%. It's just with your expertise, it would be interesting to know where you think it's going to go.
Yeah, sure. So as we've talked about before, Martin, I think we absolutely do need to get into a place where we learn to live alongside COVID, and I think we probably feel more like that now than we did, say, 6 months ago or this time last year. What we need to remember is to live alongside COVID, we still need to continue to try and protect ourselves from the virus, as well as not accidentally passing it on to other people. So although a lot of the restrictions have changed, some of the measures like wearing face masks in crowded spaces, keeping your hands clean, staying in a reasonable distance away from people you don't usually mix with, and being vaccinated all have a role to play in being able to live with COVID as we go forward.
Okay. Now, one of the things that my lady has alluded to over the past couple of episodes, and we had a discussion on this on the last episode, is that she's compared the coronavirus to the flu virus and the coronavirus vaccine to the flu vaccine. Now, I've tried to explain that flu and COVID are two different things. Am I right?
Yes, they're two very different diseases, but they are from the same disease family. So flu, the common cold, COVID, they all come from that coronavirus family, which is why, COVID is called the coronavirus. Although they are similar, they are also quite different. And what we need to remember about COVID is that COVID is highly transmissible, probably more transmissible than flu, and we know how much that can spread. But also, it's still a relatively new disease, which means that people in the communities don't have as much normal, natural immunity to COVID as they would with other diseases. And it also leads to people being really unwell and can lead to deaths, as can flu. But we know that flu tends to be quite restricted to the winter periods. So we tend to worry more about flu from, say, December through to February, March, where, as we've seen with COVID, this is affecting us all year round.
Okay, I'm getting a hard stare from Lady Unreal at the moment. Have you got anything that you would like to comment on that rather than burning me with your eyeballs?
Just don't feel like it is as they say it is, because I haven't caught it, and there was a point in time where I was genuinely trying to catch it to see whether it went well or not.
Yeah, well, you know what I've advised against.
Yes, I know.
Genuinely trying to catch it. That's not really the way.
No, but if I did everything in my power to try and catch it and I never caught it, then what's to say that what everyone's dealing with isn't just a bit of a stronger version than the flu, or just a stronger cold?
Steve, you're better qualified to answer that than me.
I think that's a really good point. Now, we would obviously never encourage anyone to go out and try and purposely catch a disease that can lead to people being quite unwell, and also in some cases can lead to early death. And we absolutely don't want that. And we have seen cases across all the adult age ranges. I think what we need to just remember is that particularly when we're thinking about the vaccine is a very measured drug that allows us to provoke that immune response, where if you go out and catch it in the community, you just don't know how big that kind of load of COVID is or how severely ill it can make you. So we know that some people will catch COVID in the community and will have either no symptoms or very mild ones, but we also know that people will be out there catching it and being really unwell as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be recommending that you try and purposely catch COVID, but there's a lot of it out in our communities. So if you haven't caught it and you've been purposely trying to do so, then I think you've probably been very lucky not to have caught it to date.
Which is exactly what I said, isn't it, my lady? But yep. No, I'm still getting the glare stare. Okay.
Because people are still dying from having the vaccine. People are still having the same effects, whether it's going to affect you or not. People are still dying either way. So you're going to die if you have the vaccine, and you're going to die if you haven't got the vaccine, if that's your sort of DNA, and that's how it's going to do what it does to you.
You need to remember on the grander scale is that across the UK we have vaccinated millions of people, and unfortunately there have been some people that have experienced side effects as a result of that vaccine, but COVID has killed and will kill much more. So with vaccines, it's always about does the benefit of the vaccine outweigh the risk? And in the majority of times, in the grander scale of the millions of people that live in the UK, the answer is yes. But I can completely understand if you've got a personal experience, then that may also influence your thoughts and feelings about having the vaccine too.
Okay, so Steve, at this point, I think we're just going to have to say thank you very much for your time and for your input on previous episodes. I'm not 100% that we've convinced Milady Unreal, but based on some of the messages that we've had from our listeners and our subscribers, it has influenced one or two people. So thank you very much for that, and I'm sure we'll speak again in the future. But thank you for all your hard work in helping to keep Swindon safe during the pandemic.
You're very welcome, Martin. And if I can just lead with just some final advice is we appreciate the vaccine isn't for everyone. What we want people to do is to make an informed choice. So if you're unsure if the vaccine is right for you, then please look at the information on the NHS website and have a chat with a health professional. It's not mandatory. You don't have to have it, but it's something else you can do to protect yourself. And if you choose that the vaccine isn't right for you, then continue to remember the hands, face, space messaging and apply that in your day-to-day lives. And then the more we do that, then the quicker we will be able to start living alongside COVID.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. You're going to say thank
No
you,
problem.
Milady?
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for your time as always.
Okay, that was myself and my lady speaking to Steve Maddern the other day, and you seem to be getting on all right with him, my lady. Don't agree with him necessarily, but you seem to be getting on all right with him, getting on like a house on fire, actually.
Yeah, he's all right. He is.
Yeah, he's not bad, is he? Yeah, I think most people are okay. You know, been to university and studied a bit, so they know this stuff. But only flesh and blood, same as we are. So yeah. But he's not changed your mind though, has he?
No, absolutely not.
No. I'll be honest with you, my lady. I think I've given up on trying to change your mind. But you know, we've had some interesting messages from people that have been listening to us over the past few weeks, and we'll report on those and go through those on the next podcast, which will be our last one of this series. Oh, that'll be a shame. But, you know, depending on how things go with the vaccination and the coronavirus and the way that it's being managed, we might come back with another series. You never know, do you, my lady? You never know.
No, you don't.
So, again, thanks to you, my lady, for joining us again. Always a pleasure to have you. And to share a studio with you. Thanks to Steve for joining us in that little session that we had a few days ago, and thank you to you for listening. So until next time, I've been Martin, And goodbye from my lady. Okay, goodbye, my lady.
Bye.
And we'll speak to you next time. Take care. Bye bye, folks.